So how do we actually record something in and make it in time so that it makes musical sense? So to start with, I'm going to change this little box down here so that it's not on time. Although it's very useful in the movie to know how many seconds you've recorded, it's more useful that we get our music in time. So I'm going to change this bit here to the one that says measures. Measures is the American word for bar. So we're putting the bars across the top of the screen. So you'll now see we've got bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, and so on. So you can see how your musical ideas will fit together, because hopefully you are going to try to compose your piece of music in 8-bar sections. So we're looking for those 8-bar sections to get a good structure into our composition. So I'm going to send the red line back to the beginning by pressing this button. I'm also going to have this button on here. This is called a metronome. As I press record, you're going to hear the clicking. Now you need to play the keyboard in time with those clicks. It's very, very important that you play them in time with those clicks, so that when you add another part here and you have 2 or 3 things happening at the same time, they're all in time with each other. The timing in this piece of music is so important. So we're going to have that metronome on whilst you record, and then after you've recorded you can turn it off and you won't hear it anymore. So I'm going to try playing a few notes in time with that metronome. So I'm going to count to 4 to start with so that I know the tempo. Now, there you can see that I've just recorded in from bar 2 because I waited 4 beats. So because this is a movie, you're now going to need to move that across so that there isn't those 4 beats, but it just ensured that I played in time. Now, if yours doesn't sound like it's in time, there are things we can do. You do not need to keep re-recording stuff, otherwise this will be a very lengthy process. What you need to do is learn how to manipulate what you've recorded in, because you may not be the best keyboard player in the world, which is absolutely fine because you don't need to be able to use GarageBand successfully. So if I double click on the grand piano, I will see something come up here. And if you can't see these notes on your screen, it might be because you need to move this up or down, because you might have played it higher or lower on the keyboard. Now it might also be useful if we just stretch this a little bit more so that we can see in a bit more detail what has happened. And you can see from this that between bar 1 and bar 2 I've played 4 notes and each one is a C. Can you see that it says C3? C3, and you can see it's next to the C on the keyboard. And if I press the C on the keyboard, it highlights every single C that I've just played. If I press the D, you can see where the Ds are. Now, you can see ever so slightly here that even though I'm quite a good keyboard player, I've managed to play my note just a fraction before the beat. So if you wanted to be meticulous, you can move that across into the right place. Now, if yours doesn't look like this, and this is what it should look like because this is pretty in time, and yours looks more like this, I'll record an out of time version now. Let's have a go. Okay, so I've tried to play it out of time. I'll take that back to the beginning and let's have a look at what we've got. So what happened here? I played a C and I clipped the D accidentally as well. So I've got a D there that I don't want. So I literally just press backspace like you was deleting a letter when you've typed a word incorrectly, and it will disappear. Now you've got to look at these grids here. So you'll see bar 1 starts there. The next beat starts 4 little tiny boxes later. The next beat 4 tiny boxes later, and the next beat 4 tiny boxes later. So that you can see mine aren't quite in time. So if I get my red line to the beginning, this note should start at the beginning. The next one should start here. So I don't need to be able to play it in time. I need to just work through it logically and mathematically. Each one of these tiny boxes on the grid is a quarter of a beat. So you can see by bar 2, I'm almost half a beat out. And then I can see where that one is in time, that one's late, and that one needs to be there. And if I wanted to make this one, because it's the end of the phrase, a little bit longer, I could do that. If I decided that I didn't want these all to be C's, I could move the C up to a D just by using the up arrow. Oops, that wasn't the right thing to do. I could just drag it up, so don't use the up arrow. So there's the D. If I want that to be an E, I can move it up to the E. Let's have a listen now, see if it's in time. So I've gone from a recording that was very out of time to a recording that was in time. You do not need to keep re-recording stuff. What you do need to do though is when you've done something successful, you need to press Command S so that you save it and you don't lose your work, because there needs to be some sort of progress every single time that you approach your task on GarageBand.